Hi folks, I hope you're all doing well. This video is going to have all the hallmarks of a complaint, but it's not a complaint nor is it a rant. I am here to educate and inform, but let me give you a wee bit of background. I've been recording some videos for Speed Coding Academy. One of the modules I'm doing is called Email Boss, and it's how to send emails programmatically. And I recorded a bunch of videos. I've done about 6 so far, and I chose a provider. I thought I'll show people how to do this, and I chose SendGrid for whatever reason, and I thought I'll give this company a go, Unfortunately, and kind of to my astonishment, SendGrid is not usable. It's not usable because of unclear pricing, and that's being charitable with my language, poor management, underpaid, poorly trained staff, and most of all, bad web development. Now, the reason why I'm doing this video again, it's not to complain. Go with whomever you like. That's not the point. The point of this video is I want you, my subscribers, to know that even large companies can have crap websites that are not fit for purpose. And I believe that by the end of this video, I will be able to justify all of these things here without a shadow of doubt. And I hope that this serves not as a motivation to stay away from SendGrid. Hire them, do what you want, doesn't matter. But what I want you to do most of all is please get it into your head that good web developers are in very short supply. There's hardly any good web developers. And there's big companies out there who need good developers. I believe SendGrid is an example. Let's get to work. Now, the first thing I want to just quickly mention is the unclear pricing. When you go to the SendGrid page here, the website, I'm going to click on pricing. Now, incidentally, I want you to notice that was quite quick. I clicked on it was almost instant, okay? This is going to be important later on. And as we can see as we look down here, it says $0 per month and it says send 100 emails per day forever. That's the free package. 100 emails per day forever. Remember that, please, right? And remember that the page was quick. Now, I'm going to log in. You'll notice now, by the way, that this is the slowest login you've ever seen. Suddenly, we're back in the early 90s. This is insane. I remember the very first days when the web came out, you had to wait half an hour for a page to download. This is like going back to that. And in fact, I'm not cheating. I'm moving my mouse. It's really that slow, And of course, remember that the first page going to the pricing was really fast. So there's something going on there from a web development perspective. We're going to talk about that in just a minute. But hopefully, the page wasn't found. Okay. You saw the page wasn't found message, right? Now look at this still loading up here, folks. I think I may have to... Am I going to have to fast... No, we're not going to fast forward. Do you know what? Let's just sit through it. Let's just sit through it and give SendGrid their moment in the spotlight. Because I had contacted them via Twitter and I had asked if they'd be willing to assist. And I'd mentioned that I was doing some tutorials and covering their service. But unfortunately, they sent me to a ticketing system that does not work. Literally does not work. I had told them via email or via Twitter, look, it doesn't work. Can we talk via Skype? They cannot. They're too busy. They are determined to send me to a broken ticketing system. So now they get this video instead, because I don't waste my time with broken ticketing systems. Now I do have a text message come in here, 6467999. All right. I'm not actually a fan. Oh, jeez. 64679. Oh, there's 4 9s. Yeah, I'm not a fan of this two-factor authentication stuff as well, but that's another story. You know what? I have entered this correctly. I have 100% entered this correctly. That's the strangest thing ever. Okay, we'll do a resend. Now, folks, I can show you a picture of my phone. I don't know if that'll help, but I'm telling you, I've got the right code here. Alright, here's another text just came in. Let's try this one. Right, I have another code. Maybe this will work. Right, so I've got them. I'm doing this 958 and then 6246. 6246. Right, I've definitely got that right. Okay. Now, what happened first time? I got the key wrong and it gave me a validation error. Then I got the key right, but it appeared to be trapped in form validation error mode. I believe that's bad web development. Here we are again. Page is taking ages to load. I mean, it's quite literally the slowest loading page I've seen this year, probably. Assuming that the page is going to load, that is. Oh, there you go. You could not make this up, folks. We're going to wait anyway. Let's just give them a chance, okay? By the way, I have the fastest internet connection known to humanity. The fastest. I pay a fortune for it. I live stream 8 hours per day. Nothing wrong with my computer. But as you can see, the page has gone. But don't worry. I have a solution. Let me show you, because just yesterday I did manage to log in, and thankfully I managed to get some screenshots. So let me bring that up. Okay, so you'll remember that the pricing page says 100 emails per day forever on the free plan. Why then, when I visit the actual dashboard, and I took this screenshot yesterday, why does it say you've used all 100 daily emails for your email API free trial? To me, that seems confusing. Now, perhaps I've misunderstood. Perhaps there's some sort of difference between the email API and SMTP, or some technical detail that I don't get. But to me, that's confusing, particularly given the fact that I've only sent 7 emails. By that, I mean 7 emails over the last 3 days, unless I'm very, very much mistaken. Now, it's entirely possible that I've made some kind of mistake, and perhaps it's even probable that SendGrid can, bungle together some sort of explanation, and, 3 cheers for them. But at the very least, have I not demonstrated unclear pricing? I think I have. And good luck, SendGrid, explaining your bullshit. Now I'd like to talk a bit about the poor management side of things, because I had a technical challenge yesterday, and it was to do with domain authorization. It was actually quite a simple question that I wanted to ask them. It would have taken half a minute. Now, I've been around the block and I know how things work with companies like this, because I knew that when I scrolled down, they are really, like, here's contact us. I knew that they would be bending over backwards to not be contactable. So, we've got FAQs. Don't they love the FAQs? Talk to sales. Okay, that might as well say F off. And then we've got support. Now, here's a question. What do you think is going to happen when we click support? Do you think we're going to have a nice little form or a phone number that says, here we are? What's your challenge? We're happy to help. Do you think that's going to happen? Or do you think we're going to go down a rat's nest of bullshit? Take your guess. Let me tell you something. There are a lot of clairvoyant folks watching this video, because you all guessed right. Yes, it's a rat's nest of bullshit. So, let's see. Log in and contact support. Well, I don't know if it will log me in. Oh, well, look at that. It has taken me to the top of the page. What now? Is it loading? Oh, look at this. Does anybody know what's happening? Am I logged out? Now it's saying log out on the top right hand side. What is going on with this website? Contact support. Here we go again. What can we help you with? Okay. I want help with MX records. Continue. And sure enough, it's just a bullshit Q&A. So that's bullshit. Now, in fairness to SendGrid, I did eventually manage to find a link that was going to take me to what appeared to be a genuine support section. But when I clicked on it, I had a 404 error page. It was a really nice 404 error page. It was a beautiful design, but it was a 404 page not found. The site is absolutely broken. And I'll tell you why I think it's broken in a minute and put this into the kind of full picture where it belongs. What I'd like to do though first is quickly take you over to Twitter, and I want to show you a conversation that I had with them yesterday. I think this conversation is interesting, and it really reveals something that you have to kind of read between the lines to get this, because I don't think that they are bad people or anything, at least the staff. I think the staff want to help, but I think they're poorly trained, and I'll show you what I mean, right? So I came on yesterday. Now, bear in mind, I've got so far, I don't know, several dozen developers potentially waiting on these videos. So I thought, okay, this might work. I said, can I please request some urgent technical support? There's nothing wrong with your site. If only that was true. By the way, I'm saying that because I'm trying to be positive. I don't want to just, go all nuclear and say your site's garbage and it doesn't work. I'm speaking publicly, right? So I'm like, there's nothing wrong with your site. It's for a tutorial that I'm doing for Speed Coding Academy. I'm covering your service and I have lots of developers on standby. It's just a quick question, nothing to worry about. So, ladies and gentlemen, I'm trying hard not to be the guy who comes on and says your site's a pile of garbage. I'm trying to give them an opportunity here to at least have a dialogue. Now, watch the responses. They are interesting. Thanks for reaching out. Email a ticket to such and such. Okay. Now, this is interesting because usually, I don't have a huge presence on YouTube or anything. I really don't. But usually when you cover hosting companies, like the last hosting company that I did a training session on, WebFaction, not only did they give me free hosting, they sponsored my podcast at dcradionetwork.com. Most of the hosting companies, text providers, for example, textmarketer.co.uk, they gave me a whole bunch of free stuff and discounts for my friends. Deploy HQ. I have a long list of companies like SendGrid who respond very positively when they hear from a guy like me. And I'm not saying that I'm super special or anything. It's just that they appreciate the importance of a developer, any developer, covering their service. So usually when you send a message like that, you know what they say back? They say, thank you. They say, thank you for covering our service. Of all the people you could have covered, you chose us. Thank you. That's what they normally say. But not SendGrid. They send you down the rabbit hole or through the sheep dip, whatever you want to call it, and they send you to the ticket system. And it does not matter what you say to them. I says, look, unfortunately, your ticketing system is down. That was the 404 page, right? Folks, there is no ticket at this point. There is no ticket. It's a 404. I said, I've noticed one or two challenges. Would it be possible for me to talk to somebody on Skype? Folks, I had followed them. They could have followed me. They could have sent me a private message. We could have spoken on Skype. It would have taken half a minute and it would have been a win-win for everyone. But look, apologies for the trouble with our ticketing system. Please email such and such. I'd emailed them. Nothing was working. They kept trying to send me to a ticketing system that would not work. The conversation just goes on and on and on. And have you been able to email support? Yes, I'm being fobbed off, sent a ticketing system. Eventually, I just get irritated. I say, it's fine. You're too busy or whatever. No complaints. No negative rants. It's all right. We're good. I'll figure something out. Have a good day. And you know what's crazy? They said, "Hi there, we'll be more than happy to assist. Would you be able to DM us the ticket numbers you have created to better review the issue at hand?" What part of the ticketing system is down does the guy not understand, or the gal? I said, "I'm not being rude, but I just haven't got time to get lost in a ticketing system, particularly one that doesn't work. You know, it's my judgment that I'd be quicker just scrapping my training videos and finding another provider." That's true. Says, "Don't worry about it. Forget about me. We're good. Cheers. I spent 4 hours today finding a new provider and preparing a new bunch of tutorial videos." And they get back, "Hi there. Now, folks, please remember there is no ticket. When I was going to the page, I was getting a 404 error message. We're more than welcome. Please email and send us your ticket number." Isn't it interesting that the person signs that off with BS? Because that's exactly what it is. This is a load of BS that I'm getting here. Now, what's interesting about this is that I actually don't think this is a bad person at the end of this thing. If I met this person, my overriding emotion would be sympathy. Because amidst all of the complete failure to even read the message, you know what? I'm seeing "I apologise." I'm seeing "we are more than willing to help." I think that there's good intention. But you know something, folks? This is poorly trained staff. Poorly trained staff, and I don't blame the person on Twitter. I blame the managers. This is poor management. Who trained these people? I'd like to talk to the person who trained these people, because they don't know how to read a short tweet. It's the worst. It's the worst I've ever seen. Now, I think I've demonstrated quite convincingly that this site has got bad web development. And I want to talk a little bit about what I think's going on with this website and tie all of this together, because I think that when you look at the web development, it really explains everything. So let's do that just now. Turns out that there's a few sites you can go on and whatnot, and you can find out how websites were built, like Built With, for example. There's a few of them. And I did a little research. Now, you remember at the start of the video, I was saying the front end of the site, the stuff that we're looking at here, is very fast. But the back end is the slowest I've seen in the history of the web. I mean, it's ridiculous, right? What I discovered is this site, this website SendGrid, is what we professional developers call a Frankenstein. This site is a Frankenstein. A Frankenstein is a website that gets started by one developer. The developer moves on quickly, maybe cobbles together something, gets replaced by another developer. Now let's say the first developer starts the site with WordPress. Second developer comes in, they don't know WordPress, so they'll use something else, but they don't want to delete the WordPress, so they'll put something on top of the WordPress. And then a third developer comes, and another, and another, and another. And when you look at the site, this has all the indications of being a Frankenstein. I'm seeing WordPress. I'm seeing tons of analytics. This website is loaded with analytics. There's somebody at their end who is very serious about analytics. There's nothing wrong with that. Now they're using, appears to be the Zurb Foundation CSS framework. I think that's a poor choice. It's slow loading. Now we get to places that become quite interesting. I'm seeing PHP 5.3. That's quite an old version of PHP. And I'm seeing WordPress. I think that they've got PHP going on at the front end here. But then I'm seeing Nginx. Nginx is suggesting perhaps some sort of JavaScript technology like Node or something like that. Now look as we go down. Okay, we've got more advertising stuff, more and more advertising. Then we've got jQuery in there, right? Again, a little bit outdated, little bit of a strange choice, but fair enough. They're using WordPress, right? And then it says Gatsby. and it's based on React and GraphQL. And I think that that's your explanation right there. And I also saw something about Amazon CloudFront down here. Do you see that? Amazon CloudFront. And here's what I think's going on with this site. I think that this site is a Frankenstein. And you see the pages that were really fast loading. I would bet my house they were done with PHP. And you see the sites that took ages and they just wouldn't load and they had all problems. I would bet my house they would have been done with React, possibly Gatsby. I tell you what, this is a bad day for React because I really know what I'm talking about here. And when I say that certain technologies are maybe not such a great choice, this is the kind of thing I'm thinking about. So I think that they've had somebody start the site, perhaps with PHP, then they've added some jQuery at some point, they've had WordPress in there, then they've hired a JavaScript person who said, hey man, you should start using CloudFront or start using Nginx and all of that stuff. And they've got some hipster on board who's done that. And what they've ended up with is a total Frankenstein. This site is a dog's dinner and it should be started again. And the reason why this matters is because it explains all of this bullshit. Because when you see a site, especially for a large corporation, where it has multiple technologies stacked on top of each other that clearly don't work, by the way, have I not demonstrated that? That means that they are going through staff members like a hot knife through butter. That can only mean that they have underpaid, poorly trained staff. It's the only explanation. Because good companies and good developers go together. I had a client stuck with me for 14 years. I have friends who've stood by companies for years and years and years. Now, clearly I think that there's a web development problem at SendGrid. And I don't just mean a problem with the site technically. I think that the ownership or the leadership of that company has a problem with web developers. I think when I look at that site, I feel as if I'm in a restaurant where every time I go in, there's a different waiter. And that's a red flag, you know? There's something not right here. So I had a look on LinkedIn and I am going to scroll down the page. We're going to see faces and everything. But let me give a little disclaimer here. Many of the faces that we see will be people who no longer work for SendGrid or maybe have nothing to do with SendGrid. Let's also be clear, I'm not interested in focusing on any particular person, and there are bound to be hardworking, talented people whose faces show up on this video. Let them be assured that the goal is not to single anybody out or anything, but what I am looking for is some sort of pattern that can help us to understand how did this website end up such a shambles? How did the staff end up so poorly trained? Why are there so many faults? Now, there's really two things I want you to look out for as we scroll down, and all we're going to look for, we're not going to comment on any particular person in detail, but I want you to look for developers, web developers. Keep in mind, when Twitter lost its top developers a few years ago, the share price of the company fell by 50%. Developers really, really matter. When you don't look after developers, the companies tend to struggle, and when you do, they do well. So I'm looking for a good, healthy supply of web developers. But the other thing I want you to look out for is middle managers. Wherever I see lots of middle managers, I tend to see rubbish web development. So all we're going to do is we're going to very quickly scroll through this without paying any particular attention to anyone. And I'm just going to read the job titles and you be the judge, right? You be the judge. So let's go. Now, by the way, quick word and special mention for the anonymous owner of SendGrid. It would appear that SendGrid has an owner who chooses to remain anonymous. Now that's interesting. Elon Musk is not anonymous. Tim Cook is not. Very interesting that there appears to be an owner who's anonymous. Jose Lopez, if you want to talk on Skype, I'd love to do that. Now, let's look at these titles here and we'll be very, very quick, right? Remember, they may not even work for the company. That's very important, right? But in any event, we've got a growth advisor. We've got a director. We've got a partner, a president, a senior technical recruiter. Now, I'm looking for web developers, folks, right? We've got a senior a solutions consultant helping businesses send blah, blah, blah. We've got an intern. Are you familiar with the word intern? An intern is a student or trainee who works sometimes without pay in order to gain work experience. Very interesting. Very interesting. So they've got that going on. They've got a director. They've got another partner. They've got a customer operations project manager. Here's a manager here, project management. Here's a senior talent partner. Here's a product support engineer. I'm not sure what that means, nor an associate support engineer. But here comes a senior director of corporate communications this time. Here comes a senior director of content. Here's a software consultant. Here's a creative director at SendGrid. Interesting. Here's a director of software engineering. So that's another director. Here's a creative director. Here's a product manager, senior principal engineer. Geez, everybody's in charge of somebody here. Have you noticed that? Here's a senior director. Here's a senior DevOps engineer. Now, this is where it gets sad, because when you see the word DevOps, what that tends to mean is unskilled middle managers controlling web developers, usually for a low salary. It's a ghastly system. Anyway, here's another manager of technical operations smiling away. I wonder if he'll be smiling when he sees this video. Here's another sales leader. Here's a senior manager. And let's just go on. What else? We got DevOps engineer, my friend. Empathy. I think that's what I have. I think that's the word, empathy. I feel so bad. Here's a senior manager. Look at all these managers. Have you ever seen anything like it? And look at the lack of developers. When we do see developers like this person, bless you, and poor guy, it says DevOps. Do you know what that means? That means he's not allowed to add a comma to the website without getting permission from some early school leaver. It's a ghastly, ghastly system. Bless you. Please get in touch if you ever watch this. I'd like to help you. I want to help you to get free from this DevOps nightmare. Anyway, here's a strategic customer success manager. Here's another senior customer. Oh, pardon me, that was the strategic customer success manager. This one's the strategic customer success manager. Folks, it goes on and on and on. I mean, okay, we've got a software engineer, and here's a senior full stack developer, right? Well, that's good. But don't get too excited, because we've got another director and, of course, a senior, here's one, a customer success manager. Folks, I have seen enough, and I think you've seen enough, and I think it's very obvious what's going on with this company. Now, just like the Jerry Springer show, it's time for David's final thought. I'm going to read this because I want to get it right. Web development is a profession that is still relatively new. Even today, the marketplace is still to a large extent trying to come to terms with the value that web developers bring to the marketplace. That's why some organizations pay their developers a six-figure salary, whilst others pay their developers poorly, or worse still, subject their web developers to middle management systems like DevOps. I believe that systems like DevOps and Agile have been designed to keep unskilled middle managers in positions of authority at the expense of hard-working, skilled web developers. Whenever I see an IT department that is under the cosh of middle managers, I see web developers who are poorly trained, or poorly paid, and poorly motivated. I mixed that up, but I think I got away with it. It's my opinion that the SendGrid website is literally not fit for purpose. However, the good news is that the technical challenges of that website can be easily fixed. Maybe they're already easily fixed. Maybe they've already been fixed even. Misleading price strategies, broken ticketing systems, poor documentation and poorly trained staff are an irritation. However, all of these things are fixable, easily fixable. What's not easily fixable is the utter contempt that the anonymous owner of SendGrid clearly has for the profession of web developer. Ironically, and I've mixed this up, but I remember what it was saying. Ironically, this is the precise demographic that SendGrid are trying to appeal to. I do not blame the staff members for the shambles that is SendGrid. I blame the management. If any SendGrid staff members would like assistance in finding a new career, please get in touch. I'll be glad to help if I can. As for my subscribers, I hope that this video has demonstrated that there is a shortage of good developers in the marketplace. People need good developers, especially those who own large companies.